Welcome back to the Creative Encounter Podcast. I'm your host, Juiette, and I'm so excited to have you here. This is episode 4. Before we dive in, I do want to mention that Creative Encounter can be found on multiple platforms. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello, you can see our faces here. So welcome. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe. We also have Spotify where you can leave a rating. And we also have Apple Podcasts where you can leave a review. We would love that. And so many other platforms as well. But I just want to thank you guys for showing up. This is going to be a great time because today I have a special guest. Ooh. I have Miss Liv Roskos here in the house. Liv, how are you doing?
You know, I'm tired, but I'm pushing through. I'm on my coffee. I'm trying to keep my eyes open like, okay.
Yep, there we go. Yeah, Gabby made her some coffee, so she is set. It's going to be a good time. But you know what? Liv spoke at the last Creative Encounter event that we had last weekend. It was so good. I'm telling you. I wanted Liv to come in before that at first. And I was like, you know what? Let's wait until you actually come out to the event so that people can actually experience what she'll be talking about today. And then we can kind of just talk about how that experience was today and let you guys in on what this is about because it was so good. Yeah. But it's going to be great. But before we dive into that, how you doing?
I'm good. You know, I'm good. It's funty that we're talking about this topic as I'm like so tired.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, ooh, this is like
I think God set it up. He set it up like that, right?
It's a perfect segue into talking about boundaries and rest and everything we're going to talk about. So it'll
be so good. But before we dive into that, tell me a little bit about like Liv. Who is Liv?
Man.
You know, and that can come from any kind of angle, like like from
of course,
faith, family, whatever perspective.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm a creative first and foremost. I feel like as creatives or artists, it's like, how do we label ourselves? We say we're like singer, songwriter. I'm a violinist. I'm an entrepreneur. There's like so many things, and you're trying to get your pitch out of like what you are. I think I'm starting to be okay with saying like I'm a believer. I'm a creator. I'm an artist, and under that umbrella of artist is event producer, singer, songwriter, violinist, visionary, and then obviously wife, mother, friend. So I'm a lot of things. Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. And my thing is, I always relate creativity back to like Inception. I always, even from the previous episodes, I talk a lot about how God infused creativity in us when he created us because he's the creator. That's how the scriptures start off, right? So with that, what was your first like introduction? How did it all start as far as you being in the arts?
Oh,
like what's the earliest, I guess, like memory you can kind of go back to?
Well, both of my parents were in the arts. My mom has a beautiful voice, and my dad played guitar for a while and was a videographer, photographer. So I feel like just growing up, like I remember just growing up hearing my mom sing. My sister is a pianist. She is actually like working on an album right now. So that was just like in my family. And my mom also used to write plays. So it's just like there's just a lot of creativity that I was around all of the time. So I think growing up, it was just like, it was second nature. Being creative was like second nature. It was a part of like our fabric as a family. We used to do like family like talent shows and invite people out. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Like literally at the house, like in the living room.
No, we would rent out a church or use like a building, and we'd literally like throw like talent, like family shows, and invite friends and stuff.
Like selling tickets and everything.
I don't know if we sold tickets or if it was like a donation, but we definitely. I wish I could find some like old footage of shows and stuff we put together. Man,
that is so dope. I love it.
I just remember that right now.
Yeah, that's so cool. So like, were you? Because I know you're a singer.
Yeah.
So were you singing at these talent shows?
Oh yeah, singing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love it.
And then each of us learned how to play an instrument at one point. So I learned how to play violin. I had always wished I'd learned how to play piano.
Okay.
Just because like. Singing while you play violin is extremely difficult. Like I know it's possible, but it's like you already have to position yourself in a certain way, and then
your neck is all like this.
So it's just difficult. So, but I do play violin by ear. I haven't played in a while. I need to get back into it, but I value like having learned an instrument.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I literally just found out that you play violin when I read your bio.
Yeah, because I don't play as much anymore. But
a couple weeks ago, I was like, I gotta get her bios, so I was on the website kind of, putting it together and stuff. I was like, violin, hold up, because I'm always like recruiting musicians to come and record here in the studio. So
I have to get in.
Once you get the rust off.
Yes, get the rust off, yes.
Get it going, yeah. But okay, so tell me like what your, because this is, let me tell everyone first. So Liv and I, we connected, we're connected on Instagram. and she puts in her story, I believe it was on your story,
Yeah.
that you were just like sick, tired, and all this was going on, and you put something in there that just like really hit me, like, man, this like really blessed me, what you wrote in there. And then I inboxed her, and I'm like, hey, you know, I have this event, Creative Encounter, and we were trying to connect about that some months before. So I was like, man, I have this event called Creative Encounter, and I would love for you to speak on this, because I feel like this will hit home with so many people. So kind of tell me what that situation was, and just kind of just share that.
Yeah, so we had COVID for like the second or third time as a family, and I was like, oh, this is just like...
All three of you? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
No, I was just like, I can't do this again.
Yeah, right.
So it was just like it was like that hit, and that completely shuts down like workflow, life flow, everything. And during these times of sickness, it's always been like a time of reflection for me. And I'm home with Zaya, that's my daughter, and like I'm just home reflecting, writing. And I was just thinking about like the times that I've been sick, how I often feel guilty. I feel like I can't rest, I can't ever relax. Like I'm just like waiting to be done with the sickness so I like can get on to work, get on to life. And it's been in those seasons that God has really helped me realize a lot about myself and like my habits with sickness, my views on rest, how toxic those views have been, how I don't hold space to take care of myself. Like there was just so many things coming up. So I was like writing a post and deleting it, then writing and deleting it. I'm like, no, I feel like other people could relate to this. And I posted it, and so many people were like, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. And then Love What Matters, which is a social media account, reached out to me, and they were like, hey, the writer was like, I really relate to this personally. Like I really struggle with rest and boundaries and like over giving or finding only like that I only feel valuable if I'm doing something or giving to someone. And she was like, can we expand and write an article on this? And so then they picked it up and wrote an article. And then that's kind of when we connected. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Cool. That's amazing. I love it. So Love What Matters?
Yeah, Love What Matters.
Love What Matters reached out to you. And just imagine had you not submitted to the thought of putting it out there. Yeah. You know, because you'd be like, I'm just going to keep this to myself. It's just a moment that I'm just going through right now, and I'm just going to, it's going to pass or whatever. You're like, and then I feel like the Spirit just put that on you to be like, hey, put this out there. And then someone reached out to you. It's just like, oh, it's amazing. Yeah. So you're able to reach so many people through that, you know? I love it. Okay, so tell us a little bit about this. So how does the significance of rest as it relates to you specifically, and then maybe after that, how creatives can kind of feed off of that as well?
Yeah. You know? So the title of the article was Why You Can't Relax Without Guilt. So a guide to embracing values beyond like your value beyond your titles, your work, and your ability to give. Yeah. I think oftentimes as creators and performers, like we're always in front of people. We're always hustling, the entrepreneurship, you know, hustle, the grind, like we're always on the go. Yeah. And I feel like sometimes there's this guilt when we slow down or when we say no or we take a step back because we feel like we're going to miss opportunities that won't be there. We feel like we might disappoint people. Like there's all these things racing through our minds. I feel like as artists when we're like, no, we need to take a step back. So I think, you know, there's a number of reasons why we can't rest. And I think, you know, a lot of people struggle with this, but I see often that this is like very heavy in the artist and creative community is like, we just don't rest well. We don't take care. We run ourselves to the ground. We're doing 60 projects at the same time. But
my goodness.
why we can't rest, I think the fear of not measuring up. Like we feel like we're, you know, you get on social media, you're like, oh, I'm not doing as good as that other person, or they're hustling harder. This is why they're getting opportunities. Like I got to catch up, right? Or, you know, the fear of what others might think. We don't want to let people down. We don't want people to be disappointed in us. FOMO, you know, we don't want to miss out, like I said, on opportunities. And then honestly, like lack of self-value and self-care. And that hit really hard for me when I had COVID, is I was like, I'm doing all of these things. I'm saying yes to a million things. And I'm like sick. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm like not well, but I'm like pushing through it because I'm like, I just gotta like take this opportunity, and then like,
oh man, she's talking to me, y'all.
like not in a good place, and
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, this is not like sustainable.
Yeah.
This lifestyle is not sustainable yet. So I think
true.
that's why, you know, as artists, we really struggle with rest.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, this is so good. Because first of all, I think as creatives, sometimes we have so many lanes that we can be in. Like I feel like as artists, there's so many different things that we can do.
Yeah.
So we try to find a way to do each and every one of those things, you know, instead of just staying in our lane. Because I can find myself like, oh, I, produce, I work on my music so I can get some clients and work on theirs as well. Or I teach music so I can do my business, but also I can sub here over there. And like try to do so many different things, and then it just all piles up on you. Like even right now, like I have so many projects. So many projects are just sitting there like, it's like pretty bad because something new comes again. And it's like some of those things, but then also you have to like find that balance because sometimes these may be paid opportunities and you have to, take care of your family,
And I think that's where the struggle is like as a lot of artists, we know we're good at a lot of different things. We can do a lot of different things. And sometimes your bread and butter might be different than something that, like, okay, say my bread and butter is like event planning, but I also love to sing, but I also love to do this. It's like sometimes we're hopping from thing to thing because we're looking for the opportunity that's going to pay the bills.
Exactly.
But then it's like, sometimes I think we extend ourselves beyond that. And I really believe it all comes back to fear. It all comes back to being like, if I miss this opportunity, I'm going to miss out on getting paid. Paid. I'm going to miss out on like providing for my family, especially as an entrepreneur. Because it's not just like clocking in 9 to 5. Right. It's like, if I miss this project for a client, then that could be that. But it's like, if you're also sick and can't function, can't take care of yourself, then think of how many more opportunities you're going to miss because of that. So it's just that's
true. That's good.
It's
good.
A mindset type of thing, I think.
That's so good. Oh, man. And then sometimes we can find ourselves taking toxic opportunities too. Like say, for example, there's someone who wants you to do a project, but that person's just so hard to work with. Like I've had situations like that too. Like individuals are like, I do not want to work with this person, but they're paying. Like I need to cover, X, Y, and Z. And it's like, so those can be tricky too. So you got to pay attention to your physical state as far as it relates to resting your physical state, but then also like mental and spiritual too. Like make sure you're not just taking any opportunities just gonna frustrate you and things like that too. So it's really discernment. I feel like you have to ask God for discernment. I think everything in life just goes back to prayer in general. Yes. Like praying, like, God, this opportunity sounds awesome. Like I have a future episode I'm going to talk about an opportunity. I don't want to go too deep into it now, but there's some stuff where I was like, going to take this crazy opportunity, and then reflecting back, I was like, that was not of God. Even though all of it was like, Christ-centered, the opportunity, all these different things, but it's like that thing was not of God for me. Exactly, for me. Yeah, so it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting what you say about like not just like the physical aspect of like, okay, I tangibly, like, I don't have time to do all of these things, but like what is going to mentally exhaust you? And I think sometimes we don't think about that. Like we think about physical exhaustion because if you get sick, if I, it's like it literally halts you down where it's like you can't go to work, you can't do this, you can't do that. But I really truly believe that a lot of artists are just continually operating out of like mental exhaustion and burnout. And because it's something that is stigmatized or we don't talk about it as much, it's like we can kind of thrive in that manic state and just keep going until we have like a mental breakdown. Like you see so many artists in that position because it's like they're just going and not saying like that like red flag or that alarm that's going off that's like you have too many tabs going on, you have too much going on, like take a mental rest, take a break, and we push ourselves to that place. And I talked about that at Creative Encounter, like what happens when you don't set boundaries and when you overwork yourself. It's going to be physical. It's going to be, for me, like burnout and numbness. And then also bitterness.
Yeah.
So it's like, if people are asking you things out of good intentions, like, hey, can you do something? Or, hey, can you do this? I've often responded like, no, this is my boundary. Like, I can't do this. And they're like, whoa, chill. Like, I just asked you. But it's because I'm already like overcommitted in so many areas that I respond so defensively.
Yeah.
I had a good friend tell me once, and I will never forget this. He was like, Liv, you don't need to say your boundary. Like, just set the boundary. Like, you don't need to tell me, hey, this is my boundary. I can't do this, or I can't volunteer. That shows that there's some type of guilt, right, attached to that boundary, like some explaining of it. Like, don't, and I think we all do that, right? It's like, it's like, oh, I can't because this is my boundary. When you could just be like, I have a family commitment that night. No apologies, no sorry, no let's find another time when you know you ain't gonna find another time to do it. Like, it's just, I have a family commitment. That's it.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
Wow.
Like, we don't do that. Right. It's like, sorry, I have a family commitment, but I would love to catch up. I would love to do this project for this next week. You don't want to do that project? Why are you like, you know, it's like, why do we do that?
I literally, because that's why I just like you just sparked something in me as you were saying that. Because like, I was like, man, I literally do that. I see myself doing that, because sometimes we can put our clientele above our other responsibilities, family.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Our own, you know, personal. Yeah.
That's the last thing that that's the first thing that we're putting on the back burner.
Like, straight up. And then it's like family too. Like, it's always a struggle, you know, both of us, you know, we have the children. And it's like, man, balancing, and then they're young too, you know, so it's like balancing that time with them. Even though they call us 50 million times a day, like, they don't realize yet we do have to work. But it's like, there are pockets of time that we can reserve and dedicate, you know, for them, you know, and not just be hustling and working all day long and stuff, you know. So if we put, I guess, as much intentionality into our family life too, and our own personal selves, and then we put into like our clients and pretty much trying to save the world, you know, and God says, like, what's key is your family. Like, you see it all through scripture. Like, that's the first and foremost thing, you know, obviously under him, but as far as responsibilities and where we are supposed to be sowing family and then everything else, you know, man, yes.
No, that's good. And I think you were sharing that a little bit too, a creative encounter, like an experience you had, I think, with your son, of like, where you had a lot of things going on and you're like, okay, let me just take a moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so creative encounter, it was last Saturday, and I think it was that Saturday. It was that morning. It wasn't Friday. It was that Saturday, and I had some videos, because, you know, we do videography, photography, and some videos I had to work on. I was like, let me actually just sit and chill upstairs for a bit, and no one's gonna die. Everything's okay. You know,
like,
okay. you know, you're gonna get back to it, but like, just spend this time and just focus. Like, it's a Saturday. Like, it's just so sweet. Like those Saturdays we used to have, just Saturday cartoons, going outside, relaxing and stuff, having a moment like that. So was able to do that in the morning, and then they have their nap, so they kind of get back to work during that time. And then when you came to a creative encounter, it was cool because you kind of challenged us to really focus on time, you know, taking rest and things like that. So it's like, okay, I feel like that was like a little foretaste. And this week I really want to try to implement that a lot more. You know, I feel like it's really lacking right now, you know? Yeah,
it's hard. And again, it's like so hard when you don't have like that clock in, clock out. It's like, that's it. You have to make that time to clock in, clock out, because you could literally just, I feel like, as an entrepreneur, you're working. Yep. You could be just working constantly around the clock. And it's so, we as artists are so obsessive that we'll be like, oh, we just gotta. But the reality is, it's like, it's still gonna be there. The project's still gonna be there. The client's still gonna be there. Like, and sometimes you need that mental break. You need that rest. You need that time with your family to refresh you, so you can actually work properly. Yeah. Let me even tell you this week. What day was it? What's today? Whatever day today is. It's like, you're like, this is how I know. So pretty much we... it's Thursday. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so pretty much earlier this week, I was just so frustrated. Like, you can ask my wife, you can ask Gabby. I was so frustrated because there was so much going on. And I'm one of those guys, I use a planner like all the time. Like, so much so, like, I love planners. My tradition I've been doing for years, at least 10 years now, every Black Friday, cool. I always go to like one of those stores and get a planner. Okay. Because that's when they start coming out for the next year. Got it. So I always get a planner.
So I'm writing my planner and stuff, and it's probably to my own demise. Like I write all this stuff thinking I can do it all in one day, So I write like 5 things, and I look at this
issue. Like,
I know
you have no time for white space. It's like
every single 30-second 30-minute bracket, and I'm like, it's 3:00, and I'm like, I'm not even at like the next thing yet. So I'm sitting there just like frustrated. I'm like, how am I going to get this done? Because then you start averaging out the week, whatever. And when I was picking up my son from school, he asked me, he said, hey, can we go outside and play? And I found myself.
That's not in the slot. That's not in the time, the 30 minutes.
Exactly. So I was like, man, I saw it rolling over into the time that I told him we would go out. So that was getting me frustrated too, because I'm like, dude, I got to finish this, but I want to hang out. So long story short, we ended up going outside just in the backyard, just chilling. It was maybe like 15 minutes or something. And I'm telling you, that refreshed me so much. And I told Gabby, I was like, thank you so much for being patient with me earlier, because I was so like frustrated. Took that break, and that like refueled me and stuff. So I'm telling you, man, like to the point where God has to command us to rest. Yeah. It's like he already knows. Obviously, he knows everything. So he already knew. He's like, this is going to be a problem for my people.
Yes.
They're not going to know how to rest. They're going to look at all these opportunities all the time and try and take them and stuff. So I can't even say you should rest. He has to literally make it a commandment, one of the 10 commandments, the Sabbath, honor the Sabbath, because he's like, he has
otherwise,
to, like,
y'all ain't gonna listen.
We ain't gonna listen, right? So it's like, man, like this is so key. Like I love it. Okay, let me ask you, what are some I guess boundaries I want to say that you've kind of set in place as relates to right? You set in place as it comes to live time.
Yikes.
Hubby time.
Okay.
Your daughter. And then work. Like, what's some things that you kind of are putting together right now?
So if I can be honest, like the reason why I spoke on this topic is because I struggle with this topic. Like this is something I'm actually not. It's like people speak on topics because they have a little bit more together. Like I'm honest and saying like I'm speaking on this because it's convicting myself. Like this is something I struggle with that Dex and I often talk about that I need to work on as a full-time, working mom, artist, entrepreneur, wife. Like there's just so much going on that I've had to come to terms with that something has to give. Yeah. Right. And Dex has really challenged me in this area because in the past and even in the present, like there's times where I don't make family as much as a priority as I should, or I'm still trying to figure out boundaries or figure out how, like, I can't take every single opportunity. I have to be very strategic with the opportunities that I take because it's not just me anymore. Like I have a daughter, I have a husband, like there's other people in my life I have to think about. So one practical way, which Dex has challenged me often, is the fact that I get anxiety, a lot of anxiety with spaces. Okay. So I feel like things have to be clean before I can relax. Like if I come home and there's like a dirty diaper or there's like clothes everywhere or Zaya stuff, I'm like, I can't enjoy my Saturday until this is all clean. A candle is lit, things are decorated, like things look nice. Then we can like enjoy our little Instagram family Saturday. Like, and Dex, the other, he's told me for a while, like, Liv, we have a toddler. There's always going to be something to pick up. Like, this, having kids, like, man, the house would be sparkling. 20 minutes later, trash. You're like, what? Like, who ran through here? Like, this is crazy.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
Insane.
Let me pause you 1 second. Pick up right back where you're at. But to the point where, like, we show the boys pictures of before they were born, how the house looked. Yeah. And they'd be like, is that our house? It's so clean or whatever. Like, you should see we have this one picture. You're like, yes,
this is you. Yeah. Like, you did this. Like,
Thanks a lot.
So just knowing that, like, I feel like my priority would always be like, okay, I gotta clean, I gotta get things picked up, and I still struggle with that. Like there's times where that's still like an impulse in me, but I have to continually remind myself, like, Zaya's only going to be 2 once. She's only going to be 3 once. Like, Bill's always going to be there. Clutter's going to be there while she's a toddler. Like, enjoy these precious moments with her. Enjoy this time with Dex while you have it. Enjoy these moments. Like, these moments aren't promised again. Like, we need to be present with people because it's like we're so often thinking about the next thing, the next project. Like, we can't just sit and enjoy the moment. And then that anxiety, and because you struggle with rest, that translates to how you treat other people. And that is what was really convicting for me, is Dex would tell me, like, Liv, I've had a really hard week. at work, right? And I'm like, I'm just chilling. Like, I'm just sitting back, watching TV. And he's like, I can sense from you that you're anxious and that you're struggling with rest. So you're like, why aren't you cleaning? Why, like, how can you just sit here and there's all this mess and all these things? And he's like, he's like, I don't enjoy it either, but I know, like, I got to just sit for a minute. Like, I've got to have a mental, you know, a moment where I can just rest my mind. And then after I do that, I can get up and do this thing. So that's been really hard. It's hard for me and it's convicting, and I'm continually having to work on it. Like, I don't feel like I've really mastered any of this. Like, it's just stuff that I'm in the process of.
And I feel
that's a big one for me.
Yeah. And I feel like that makes it more authentic and relatable when we can kind of preach something that we're still kind of going through. Like, in the sense of like, oh yeah, I've overcome this, you know, I don't have this challenge. You know, it's like you're in the process.
No, we never overcome.
Yeah, exactly. So you can
They're
always
lying to you.
Right, exactly right. Instagram, you know, you can always like relate to someone, and it can be like, you know, and it helps to draw people to really just, you know, even just as far as like ministry is related, you relate to this individual, like, hey, this is something I'm going through. Let's go through this together. You know, so yeah, this message, that's why it hit so many people. It's like, man, when you're just being vulnerable at Creative Encounter, it just blessed us so much. Like, I'm telling you, this whole week I've just been raving about it. Like, even still, so I've been really excited to have you here and stuff. But even still, like in our house, that's the same thing. Like with the boys, it was like that Saturday, like just wanted to rest. Gabby and I, we talk about like how they just love playing video games. You know, love that time to play video games together. And when we're both doing it, they get excited. Oh, Mama and Papa are both playing, you know, video games right now. And just those little moments to carve out and just spend time, like, means the world. Because that's the one currency that you don't get back. Like, money's going to keep coming and going all the time.
Woo.
You know, like, oh, today I don't have money.
Dang.
Oh, a project just came over there.
Yeah.
But time,
oh, man.
time is like,
I like never thought about that before.
You know what I'm saying? It's like those are two. There may be others, but out of the main two currencies, like time and money. And time is like, yo, this is literally just it. You know,
it's all you got.
You know, you can only spend it once, and you know, you want to be able to take advantage of it. You know, oh man, love it. Okay, so now kind of back to the artistry side of things. You know, so tell me, I don't know, like, what are some things that you're like currently working on as an artist? You know, what's going on in that arena? Yeah,
I think we talked about this earlier, but as an artist and creative. I think sometimes you can feel guilty if you're not like, you know, as far along in this craft, but you're like working on this or this is having to take the back burner. I'll tell you like how I felt about something recently. So I've always said, like, as an artist, I'm always a singer. Like, that's what I've always been like. I'm a singer. That's how I'd introduce myself. And lately I feel like singing for the past like year or two has really taken a back burner, and I've really started to you know, my career is now in like event management and event curation. So that's kind of been where all my time and energy has been, like putting together events, putting together shows. I'm an event curator at a coffee shop in the South Loop, a beautiful space. And it's been amazing. And like, I love it. I love seeing other artists grow. I love seeing other artists thrive. I love seeing an event come together. But I was actually helping at an event the other day, and somebody that I was an acquaintance with, that I booked this band for a show. He was like, "Oh, I didn't know you sang," and that like, ooh, like that kind of stung me a little bit, because I was like, "Dang, like I'm not singing right now, like I'm not." And then I had to be like, "It's okay, Liv, like don't get all emotional, like he just didn't know, like just calm down, like you look too emotional." You
just met him,
no, but seriously. So I realized like there's certain times where it's gonna be like an ebb and flow in your creative journey, like you might, you know. You gotta, there's like that meme where you gotta be your own marketing team, you gotta be the graphic design. Like there's gonna be times where certain things are gonna take more of the priority in your creative journey, but it doesn't make you a fraud. Like it doesn't make you any less of something. So I am still working on an EP. I feel like I've been working on this EP for like 3 years, but
don't talk about it.
We're still there. I'm still in process. It's a slow. I always say, slow grind is better than no grind.
Yeah, I love that.
You are going, you are moving. It's forward movement, and you're doing the best you can with the time that you have. And even if it's slow cooking, pot roast cooking, it's still cooking. It's still cooking.
Oh man, I love that. That's so good.
Been working on this project with an incredible producer. His name is Ike Nichols. Go check him out. He's amazing, amazing. And working on a single right now with an artist named Veer, which we just got yesterday. So excited. We're gonna drop it soon. In December we'll drop a single, and then I'm hoping to have the EP done and dropped and do like an EP release party in January or February. That's my goal.
Love it.
Yeah.
Man, I love it.
So I'm excited.
Hey, I'm excited for you. So just like you were saying, the EP, I have a record soon to come out, still date pending. Everything's literally recorded. Just gotta mix it, finish it, and whatnot. But yeah, same thing. I'm like, man, I gotta finish this thing. But it's been so many different, things like launching up, even just like Creative Encounter. Like you said, the ebb and flow that really just blessed me right now, because as an artist, you just want to kind of zero in and focus on that. And the whole thing of, I see these other artists who are, dropping this, every single week or month, something brand new. And you got to look at yourself and be like, I'm not just at a standstill. Yeah. I'm working on other things. Yeah. That's just what it is. And God is just sowing seeds. God has you in different areas, sowing different seeds. And whatever your passion and desire is, he circles that stuff back around. He has our best interest in mind more than we do for ourselves, So, man, that's so good. I love it. Cool. Okay, so where can everyone find Liv? Where can everybody find your content?
So you can always follow me on Instagram, Liv Roskos. And my link tree is there. My website's pretty much done. I'm getting ready to launch it. So I will be launching it in November. It's been done for a while. I need to launch it. So Liv Roskos. And then to follow all the events that I've been working on, you can follow Overflow Coffee. Or Overflow After Dark, and that's where I run all of the event series that I'm working on.
Perfect. Good. Yeah, and we'll have all of those links in the description on YouTube, so you guys can click those and check all of that out. Man, this has been awesome. I'm super excited. This is cool. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot real quick.
Oh, sure.
Nothing crazy. Okay, so on Spotify, which is really cool, they have the option to have a little question, and people on Spotify can literally...
I didn't know this. Okay.
Yeah, so it's so dope. So people, if they're listening to this on Spotify, right under, there'll be a question. You can type a response on there, and it'll be in the feed on there. Oh, so cool. What's something that you want the audience, a question that you want to throw at the audience for them to comment?
Oh, I'm asking the question they're answering.
Yeah, and I'm going to put that on this actual video.
Maybe, I feel like it needs to be something related to rest.
Yeah, exactly.
Artists,
that's what I'm looking for.
So maybe what is one way you can rest this week?
I love it.
Yeah, just simple.
Yeah, keep it nice and simple, because we need simple.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we won't do it. Yeah.
You'd be like, let me put it in my 30-minute time slot.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. So, guys, that's what we're going to put at the bottom. What is something you can do this week to rest? Okay, and I want you guys to do that, okay?
And take it seriously, okay?
And take it seriously, legit. This is for anything that God commands us to do. It's for, because he loves us. It's for our benefit, So let's jump on those things and actually do it. It's it's not going to harm us. It's going to bless us, So let's remember that. But, man, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Liv, for coming in. I want to wrap it up and let you guys know, again, Creative Encounter. We have the podcast, but we also meet once a month. It's a creative hub where artists get together, they perform, showcase their gifts and talents, be able to network with each other and get resources and tools so they can go out and do their God-given calling. So with that, this is a ministry, and people support us monthly. We have partners who allow us to keep this podcast going. We have partners that let us do the events once a month and all the other things. So this is a ministry under my performance ministry, Juiette Z-Pain Music, and it's more so the outreach component. So it allows us to be able to, the band to perform, tour, to reach people evangelically through art and performance and music too. So if you guys want to support us, I'll have the link down there for you guys to support us. It is tax deductible as we are a nonprofit. So we really appreciate the love and support.
Okay, make that pitch right there. Come on.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You got to. So yeah, guys, and then please, again, the last three, subscribe. You got to subscribe. and comment. Let us know what topics you want to talk about as a creative, what you need to hear
Yes.
from us. Yes. And then Spotify, leave a rating, and on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. That really helps us to get up there so a lot more people can be reached through this podcast.
Awesome.
I think that's it. Thank you so
for
much for
having
being
me.
here.
That's a wrap.
It's a wrap. We'll
Go
see you
take
guys
a nap.
next time. Yeah, please go take a nap. Thank you so much.
Bye.